The storm rolled across the plains like a wild animal, tearing at fence lines and howling through the pines. Luke Hollister leaned against the barn door, eyes squinting through sheets of rain that made the world look blurred and mean. He wasn't expecting visitors, not this late, not in this weather. But then again, life had a way of bringing people to his doorstep when he least wanted it and most needed it. He caught sight of movement through the haze, a horse staggering up the muddy trail. The rider looked small, hunched, nearly falling from the saddle. Luke cursed under his breath and ran out into the storm. When he reached her, she slid right off the horse into his arms. Her coat was soaked through, her skin pale as river stone. He carried her inside like she weighed no more than a whisper. "Hey now," he murmured, setting her by the fire. "You stay with me, you hear?" She blinked, her eyes distant, almost frightened. "I didn't mean to stop here." "Well, you did," Luke said, tugging off her wet gloves and wrapping her hands in a dry blanket. "And you ain't going anywhere till morning." By the time dawn broke, the storm had passed and the woman was awake, sitting by the fire with one of Luke's shirts draped over her shoulders. She looked like she hadn't slept right in weeks, dark circles under soft, haunted eyes. "You're safe," Luke said, pouring her a cup of coffee. "Storm's done. You got a name?" She hesitated, staring into the cup like it held the answer. "Clara," she whispered. "Clara," he repeated. "Well, Clara, you're lucky I keep the fire going through the night." Her lips twitched, almost a smile, but it faded quick. "I didn't want to be found," she said softly. Luke tilted his head. "You running from someone?" She didn't answer right away, just turned her face toward the window where the sky was slowly clearing. "From everything." He let it sit. Luke had learned long ago that sometimes silence spoke better than questions. By noon, she was up and trying to saddle her horse again. "Ma'am," Luke said, stepping outside. "That Mars worn to the bone, and so are you. You go now, you'll both fall before nightfall." "I don't need your help," she said, voice trembling. "Never said you did." "I'm offering it." She looked at him then, really looked. "Why?" Luke's jaw tightened. "'Cause someone once found me when I didn't deserve it either." Clara shook her head. "I'm not worth saving." He took a step closer, meeting her eyes squarely. "Then I'll save you twice, just to be sure." Her breath hitched, and she turned away, hiding her face. But she didn't argue again. Days passed. She stayed. She helped with chores, mending fence wire, brushing down horses, cooking when she thought he wasn't watching. She worked quietly, always with that same distant look, like she was somewhere else entirely. Luke didn't press. He'd seen broken things before, animals too spooked to trust, men too proud to ask for help. You couldn't force either. You just had to show up every day, gentle and steady, till they stopped flinching at kindness. One evening, as the sun bled gold across the hills, he found her by the creek behind the barn. She was skipping stones, her hair loose, eyes soft for the first time since she arrived. "Didn't figure you for the quiet type," he said. "I used to talk too much," she said with a small laugh, "until words started getting me hurt." Luke frowned. "You got someone out there who did that to you?" She nodded slowly. "A man who liked control. In a world that didn't care." Luke felt a weight settle on his chest. He crouched beside her, tossing a pebble into the water. "Well, world's big," he said. "Plenty of corners where bad folks can't find you." She turned to him, eyes glimmering. "And you? Where's your corner?" He gave a slow grin. "Right here, far enough from the noise. Close enough to help someone if I can." Weeks turned into months. Clara found herself laughing again, small things at first. The way Luke cursed at stubborn cattle. The way his hat never sat straight on his head. The way he'd leave her notes on scraps of paper. "Don't forget breakfast." Or "You did good today, Clara." But at night, she still woke up gasping. haunted by shadows she couldn't name aloud. Luke never asked, never pried. But every time she screamed, he was there, sitting in the dark. A quiet figure beside her bed, saying nothing until her breathing slowed to once. After a particularly bad night, she whispered, "Why do you care so much?" He looked at her for a long moment. "'Cause you remind me of someone who didn't make it." Her voice cracked. "Someone you loved?" He shook his head. "Someone I should have." She didn't ask more. She didn't need to. One spring morning, Luke found her in the barn, brushing Namari's coat, humming softly. It was a tune he hadn't heard before, gentle and bright. "Sounds like hope," he said. She smiled. "Sounds like freedom. Thinking of leaving?" Her hand froze mid-brush. "I don't know. I'm scared that if I go, I'll lose what I found here. But if I stay, maybe I'll keep remembering what broke me." Luke stepped forward, taking the brush from her hand. "You ain't trapped, Clara. Not here. Not ever. This ranch ain't a cage. It's just a place to rest till your heart remembers how to stand." She looked up at him, eyes shining with tears. "And you? What about your heart?" He smiled, soft and tired. "Been patched together enough times, it don't break easy no more." She laughed through the tears, a sound that made something deep in him settle, like dust after a long storm. But peace, like weather, never stayed long. One afternoon, a stranger rode up, rough-looking, mean-eyed. Luke saw the way Clara's face drained of color the second she recognized him. The man tipped his hat, grinning. "Well, ain't this a surprise? You run off far, sweetheart." Luke's hand went to his revolver. "You got about 5 seconds to get off my land." "Easy there, cowboy," the man sneered. "She's my wife." "She ain't yours," Luke said flatly. "And you best be gone before I decide you're trespassing." The man spat on the dirt. "You think she's worth your trouble? She's a liar and a thief." Luke's voice dropped low. "Doesn't matter. Nobody earns kindness. You just give it." The stranger's grin faltered under Luke's steady gaze. "You'll regret this." "Doubt it," Luke said, cocking the hammer. The man backed away, muttering, and rode off. When he was gone, Clara trembled so hard she could barely stand. Luke caught her as she fell against him. "He's gone," he whispered. "You're safe now." Tears soaked his shirt. "You don't understand," she sobbed. "I left everything. I have nothing." He held her tighter. "You got a name, a voice, and a heartbeat. That's plenty to start again." That night, she sat on the porch beside him, wrapped in his old coat. The stars were out, bright and endless. "Do you think people can really start over?" she asked. Luke smiled faintly. "Every sunrise says so." She leaned her head against his shoulder. "Then maybe I'll stay a while longer." "Stay as long as you need," he murmured. "This ranch has got room for souls finding their way." They sat in silence after that, the kind of silence that didn't feel empty anymore, dot by summer. Wildflowers painted the hills, and laughter filled the house again. Clara's laughter. She planted a garden near the porch, cooked meals that tasted like memory, and sang to the horses when she thought no one was listening. Luke would watch from the barn, that quiet smile on his face, the one that said he'd found something worth more than peace. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the horizon, she turned to him and said softly, "You were right. I was worth saving." He chuckled. "Took you long enough to believe it." She stepped closer. "But I think you needed saving too." He looked at her, eyes gentle as dusk. "Maybe I did." And as the night wrapped around them, neither felt broken anymore, just whole. In the quiet way two lost hearts can be when they finally stop running. Moral of the story: even the most broken souls can find peace when kindness refuses to give up. Sometimes saving someone isn't about fixing them. It's about standing beside them until they remember their worth.